October is it's got a lot of energy that is focused on emotion going on. And so we're kind of segueing into this space of relationships, into how we integrate with the people, not just making the agreements to work together, but also integrate into it.
Hi, my name is Sherille Marquez, and welcome to It Gets Better From Here podcast, where I help ambitious, high achieving divorced women shatter limiting beliefs, rediscover their authentic selves, take their power back, fast track personal growth, and live their best life unapologetically. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. Welcome back, Laurel. Thank you so much for again joining us yet for another cosmic astrology. It's October, and it's really insane how we have 2 months left pretty much when this comes out in 2024. And wow, I've been really excited to
I can't even fathom. I cannot even truly fathom that.
nuts.
Wow. What a year. It's flown by.
2024 is nearly done, and I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you again, sharing your energy and your time. And let's just dive right in.
Thank you. Thank you as always for having me. I'm super excited to talk about the astrology of October 2024 with you. We do have quite some themes going on this month, as is usual with October. So let's dive straight into it. So as we get into the beginning of October, the sun is currently in Libra, or in Libra season. It is the beginning of fall. We've just had the autumn equinox. And so we're all collectively moving towards kind of a time of more connection with each other. We're kind of turning to each other a little bit more. We're turning towards ourselves a little bit deeper in the fall. Things start to turn inward. The leaves clearly fall down, and we start to pay attention to the bonds that matter. And that's what Libra season really brings to us. So as we move through at least the first 2.5 weeks of October, we're very much in a theme about partnerships, about harmony, about finding our peace and balance, about collaborating with other people. So for those of you who might be in co-parenting relationships, those themes may be a little louder than usual this time of year, because it's really kind of this look at, hey, where is there balance needed or necessary in our life? How do we tip these scales a little bit to allow all sides an equal opportunity to whatever that subject may be? So that's just kind of big general theme, big highlight for the first few weeks of October there. But getting into the first week of October, there is a very, very loud theme of us being into some space of new beginnings. Wow. That's really taking us into quite a journey into our emotional depth. October is it's got a lot of energy that is focused on emotion going on. And so we're kind of segueing into this space of relationships, into how we integrate with the people, not just making the agreements to work together, but also integrate into it. And so this season kicks off with a solar eclipse in Libra, which is really highlighting that we're in a big moment of change. As we record this episode, we're actually sitting inside of the eclipse window right now, and the energy's been weird the last week and a half, to say the least. Not bad or anything, just kind of there's been an extra little ting kind of going through the air. And so this eclipse on October 2nd, it's signaling that it's a time for incredibly potent, incredibly powerful intentions to be set when it comes to our partnerships, when it comes to our relationships, and for many of us, when it comes to self-love. How do you self-partner? If there's one person you got to deal with all day long, every day long, it's you, right? So how do we harmonize with ourselves, especially in the midst of big changes or big transformations?
That is really amazing. Yeah, I love how you said self partner because honestly, you take you wherever you go. So, the
Hmm.
more that you can really, get along with yourself and clear out so many like limiting beliefs that did not even come from you. You could have heard it from someone and yet it stuck with you for 30 years, 40 years, who knows? And so, this is really a great opportunity, like Laurel is saying, to set those intentions first and foremost with yourself, is what I'm hearing. Definitely.
100%, 100%. And these are like, the themes aren't new. We've been getting a lot of very deep and intense lessons around independence and collaboration over the last about year and a half. And so this is kind of a deepening, a continuation of some of those themes or those storylines that have been playing out in our life, which are asking us to let go of people pleasing, let go of being accommodating, let go in being overly, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. There's an invitation here to begin the process of release, one that we have been doing for a little while now, but it like kind of reinitiate that as we're going into like kind of the last leg of these lessons around autonomy and collaboration, around self and others. And so that is a very prominent theme, not just this first week, but like October. It just is loud in the undertones of a lot of the connections through October. So then, to deepen the theme, on October 4th, we have Venus, the planet of relationships, of security, of attachment, of attraction. She's moving into the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is the energy that is specifically speaks to this kind of very deep, transformational, evolutionary process of merging together, not just partnering, but blending, not just agreeing, but immersing, right? Scorpio takes things a level deeper. And so, right up front in October, we have Venus, the planet of relationships, during a month where relationships and agreements are a theme.
Wow.
Going into the deep end, saying all or nothing. We're all in, folks, right? Like there is this intensity to the ways that we are going after what feels good to us, going after what might feel secure to us. What we need to all be mindful of is how much of that desire to connect is being driven by fear,
Mhm.
right? Scorpio is an energy that has to do with healing. It has to do with catharsis. It has to do with integration, right? Which is why it's very intense. The process of evolution, ask a caterpillar, probably not super easy,
So good.
right?
That's yes, the metamorphosis is so uncomfortable, Laurel. And I just want to touch on this real quick as a side note. I did a energy clearing in person, and I haven't done one in person in so long. And mind you, I'm constantly working on myself to be the best version of myself. And how I felt after, I almost regretted doing it because it's like they're vacuuming all that crap that's in the crevices. And so I felt so bad and I was emotional and crying and I was journaling too and I was in that space for like 2 days and I'm like, damn, this has to be the clearing. I didn't realize there's a lot that's there because it's been a
Purging.
decade. I'm purging.
Girl, I mean, think
Ugh,
about like every time you, not to air anything out, but like think about it when you have had a hangover. That is
yeah.
not a comfortable
Oh my
experience.
gosh.
I mean,
Yeah,
TMI maybe, but for me, my body treats alcohol like the poison that it is.
it is.
And it's like, we got to get this out of here. And so it is this like purging toxins from your system
Oh my
is
gosh.
inherently not a super comfortable experience.
Yeah.
And so this energy of October is like, think of it as a gigantic cleanse that's rolling through, especially as it relates to like sorting out power imbalances in our relationships.
Good, great point saying with the purging, because as you know, for my community, my audience who is done with a divorce. Now they're in the space where it's like, my gosh, I thought that my life would be different from where it is right now. The self reflection Laurel's talking about, that self partner, really, that is where everything changed for me, was when I went within. I was going for everything external, trying to, like attract I couldn't even actually scratch that. How could I even say attract? Because I
Mhm.
didn't even have the mindset for that. But we're always attracting, and it was attracting the wrong kinds of people and the wrong
Mhm.
situations. But I didn't have the awareness of that. So know that going into this, you're gonna be purging, right, Laurel? You're gonna be uncomfortable. Like, I was like, dang. I said, what did I do to myself? I didn't realize there's so much crap that was there. Like just clearing it. And I felt like a new person, as you said, with Back to the Caterpillar
A
afterward.
100%. And here's like a fun fact for people. I learned this not too terribly long ago, but it surprises me how I never thought to ask this question before. What happens to a caterpillar once it's actually inside of the cocoon? I eventually was like, what actually does happen to them when they're inside of the, like, we all know they change into a butterfly, but like, what? How?
Yes.
From how I understand it, essentially what happens is the caterpillar gets the call. It's time to evolve. It's time to level up. It wraps itself up in its little cocoon, goes inside, and then melts. It melts. Its body turns into goop. It loses its goop and it becomes this like pool of organs. Like its vital organs continue to go and work, but it has no true form in that space except for the cocoon that's holding it
Oh my
together.
God, goosebumps.
And then through its time in the cocoon, its little jelly body
Dang.
reforms
Shit,
into
that's
a
nuts. I
butterfly
got
body.
goosebumps because you know what? The reinvention, stepping into that, that version of you that you've always wanted to be, is, already in nature. It's already showing you a great
Exactly.
example. Wow, could not be more spot
Yeah, and
on.
it's I find it like very like whoa when you learn that that's like kind of the process they go through, because every time you've ever gone through a death rebirth type of process in your own life, it feels like you become goop. It feels like you deteriorate.
Right.
It feels like you die. Parts of you die, and that's okay. And so like I know this conversation is like swung into intense space pretty quickly,
Yes.
but like I hope no one will be afraid of some of
No.
this energy because we do it every year. Like this is part of our yearly cycle to pay attention to transformation, to pay attention to change, to pay attention to how have we outgrown
Mhm.
the old skins that we used to wear. And so October just really pretty quickly starts to shift its focuses into those dig deep spaces.
Well, I think it's important that we are talking about it, because then it allows people to actually kind of be like, okay, wait a second, I'm feeling like shit. And it's because I'm in the process of upgrading. And I tell my clients that all the time, like right before we have a breakthrough, it always feels like everything is falling apart. But when
Mhm,
really it's falling together. So, you know,
mhm.
so what Laurel is saying also is that just be cognizant that this is, what is happening, and it's not just you, it's happening, and out there in the cosmos. So you're feeling it more
As above,
intensifying.
so below.
That's
What's
right.
happening up there is but a mirror to what is happening down here, and vice versa. One
Mhm.
helps us to understand the other better. And when you understand that, like, okay, we're about to head into some, like, what can be for many sensitive or vulnerable spaces, it's better to know that, in my opinion, my humble
Same.
opinion.
Give me a
Know
heads
that
up.
ahead of time. Like, yes, tell me things might be a little intense and that it's the vibe right now,
Right.
right?
I
Like,
want to
okay,
I want to
I'm
know.
ready, I'm ready.
Yeah, I want to know
Exactly.
then, being like, what is it, just me? Like, I feel like it's really bad. So I had to, like, going back to this, I had to go back and ask my healer. I'm like, this is how I'm feeling. And so then he sent me a diagram and it made so much sense. So this is really the same thing. Like, having this conversation is allowing our audience to have an understanding, and awareness is key to almost everything in life. You know?
It's literally a personal motto that I toss around is that awareness is humanity's skeleton key. Like
Oh
it's
gosh.
the way to unlock everything. The more aware, even if it doesn't give you every answer, huh, knowing it's like, oh, well, I'm aware that I might not get every answer gives a little bit of peace. You know what I mean? It's like a little meta, but like, I can
Yes,
like rest in that.
so true. It's so freaking true. So, okay, I didn't want to go off too much of a tangent, but it is the theme. So, but can go ahead.
The theme. It is very topical. And so, like, wrapping up this kind of very early part of October is like we get introduced to some significant themes, some significant changes. They still might be a little subtle, but like they'll be pretty noticeable as far as like the acuteness at which you're experiencing attachment. But early in the month, it does look like it is helping to kind of consolidate relationships, consolidate responsibilities, kind of take responsibility for like what your roles are in different partnerships. Could fare well for some of y'all. Might see some slight financial benefits or stabilizations, or it's like maybe something we were waiting for an agreement on finally stabilizes and is like goes into effect and is like enforced in some way towards that early part of October. But then we do pick up with some tensions towards the end of it. So we want to really be mindful with our words, especially on October 6th. Again, we are speaking and reacting from emotional places, especially as they might revolve around fairness. Maybe this is the doling out, like one example that's coming into my head right now is like the doling out of domestic duties, right? Like the doling out of like, no, I had the kids on
Mm,
last Saturday and we already talked about this. I don't care if you have a choir show to attend. Like it's kind of this, there's a little opportunity for there to be choice words that might
definitely.
transpire around protecting what feels fair to us towards the end of that first week of October.
That's really good, Laurel. Yes, it's so again back to awareness. Just be aware of where you are energetically, emotionally, before you say something that you regret, or you send that text message before you actually press send. Just read it again, give it some time, and erase it if it needs to be erased, or if you really got to get it out,
Or
send it to
even just
yourself.
tweak it. Usually, what I do is like I write it out. I write it out.
Yeah, get it out of you.
And then I'm like, okay, what's like the PC way to say this?
Yes,
Like, what is the mature,
right,
responsible, correct way to say what I'm actually trying to say now that I got the fury out?
right.
Because usually I just need to blow steam, and usually a lot of us just need to blow some steam to kind of clear the fog to be able to be like, all right, what am I really looking to communicate
100.
now that I cleared my vision, you know?
Yes, I like definitely love that method. And if you have to send it to someone the way that it is, you have a trusted friend that,
Besties.
yes, that's why it's so important to have, like you're like a tribe, or even what, that one person. And if you don't, you know what, send it to yourself. You got to hit send. You can text yourself. I do that
And if
all.
you want to get real, like living in the 21st century with it, then you can tell ChatGPT to be your girlfriend and that you were trying to blow off some steam. That's respond to you like a friend would based on your,
That
but
is
it just
so
can
true.
simulate.
It's so
You just
true.
simulate that exchange of like, I want to be pissed. You have to tell it what you're looking for, but like it can help simulate the like, I'm angry and I want to vent. And it'll be like, okay,
Yeah,
do it. I'll tell you what I think. So
definitely.
that's a fun way. Yep.
That's a great
Okay,
tip.
let's get into the second week of October. It's not as like super emotionally intensive as the first week does tend to like we'll be tired by the end of the first week, I think. We'll be at the end of eclipses. There will have been some big energy. Some of us may or may not have had little disputes that might need some tending to. But luckily, on the 8th of October, we do get a chance to tend some of those wounds with each other. So if there were any like scabs opened up during the first week of October, Venus in Scorpio will make a very nice connection to Mars in Cancer, which really can help us to kind of intuitively take the actions that are going to help secure, deepen, protect, intensify our bonds, our goals, our projects here. So if anything got a little bumpy towards the end of that first week, it seems like only a couple days passed before it's like, okay, let's like let's be a little smoother with this. On the 9th, the following day, Jupiter stations retrograde in Gemini. And so this signals to us a multi-month, I think it's maybe five or so months, maybe 6, period where we are going to be kind of reflecting on our truths,
Mm.
reflecting on the information that feels true to us, reflecting on our beliefs and how we kind of like support those beliefs with the way that we think, right? There's this opportunity for us to be like, okay, let's review and make sure everything still syncs up with our worldview here, or adapt our worldview or
Mhm.
these beliefs that might not be working with our changing worldviews as we gain more insight and information about ourselves. This is a really important time for reassessing your principles, your ethics, your morals, you know.
Beliefs, which
So
can be
yeah.
changed. Yeah, be flexible because you're not the same person as you were just even yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 100%. Especially with like a lot of them, just the last couple months, we're recording at the end of September. Just the last couple months, there's been a lot of revelation for a lot of people,
Mhm.
kind of in different areas. And so this is a moment for us to kind of go back over and reconsolidate what our ideas about truth are, which is
Mhm.
always interesting because it is objective. So,
Definitely.
and subjective all at the same time. So it's just something to be aware of. You might be going back over some things that you, some opportunities that you thought were like completed might come back again over the next several months for you to like expand. Maybe you're like, maybe I'll go back to school, and then you didn't. And then this is kind of classic case for this type of energy is like, I need to go back to school. And then you just don't for a little while. And then the retrograde happens. It goes, what was that about school? Hop on in. Right. It's like, okay, now the time is right to return to this source of expansion. And then on October 12th, the sun in Libra will square Mars in Cancer. So again, at the end of the week, we have this like kind of tension that occurs, this protectiveness. Again, it feels like we're being protective over maybe certain projects that we have, certain initiatives that we've taken. This could very well have, for many of us, be about certain very specific relationships and family dynamics too. This could be like protecting a relationship from a family member. This could be protecting family members from a certain relationship. Could be many combinations of these central themes, but there is very much this like energy of wanting to please everyone, but also like I gotta take care of me and mine.
Yeah.
That seems to be bucking heads there on the 12th there. So it really is about learning how to balance tensions. Sometimes there are just going to be multiple tensions.
Mhm.
How can we find a way to create as much harmony as we can while navigating sometimes sensitive conflicts?
Wow. More the reason to really do self reflection and partner with yourself because
Hmm.
wow, you gotta know yourself and understand your triggers or whatnot, and what really gets what really like gets your blood boiling,
Hmm.
and avoid those
Really.
situations.
Once you understand what grinds your gears, you can start to, to like sand that down. And you're like,
Yeah, great,
not in
great.
this house.
Yes, great way of saying that. I love it.
So let's get into this third week of October. The theme are continuing around transformation, but this week does give us a little bit more insight. But when I was doing my forecasting for this particular week, I did notice that it seems like a lot of the energy that we've been kind of discussing can be a little tense,
Mm.
or there's been a couple of themes of like protective, being protective, needing to protect come to a head in the third week of October. This would be around the 17th, October 17th. There is a full moon in Aries, and it is happening in tough, potentially challenging positions to the planet Pluto and also the planet Mars. So Mars in Cancer has been getting very poked and prodded over the course of this month. As you can tell, it's the one who is kind of being like,
Hmm.
who are you talking to? Are you looking at me wrong? You looking at my kids wrong? Fight you about it. Like, it's very mama bear. Like, it's
Yeah.
extremely mama bear energy.
Note to all the mama bears. My
Said
gosh. Yeah.
mama bear.
Yes. Good
And
point.
so it's big mama bear energy. And this full moon brings us like this big illumination that can be very impulsive, that can be very quick, rash, very dynamic,
Mm.
to say the least. Aries, I am one, so I can speak with very much authority on the potent spark of Aries. And when we're having a full moon in Aries, that means like our emotions are on the fullest setting, the biggest setting, and reacting very fast. Like, there's almost no buffer between feeling and action.
Mm.
Right?
Oh,
We are
wow.
acting from
Oh,
feeling.
wow.
And so that is turned up very loud, plus it's being provoked. Plus, some of this reactivity is also being provoked by other forces. So again, we have this energy of mama bear, of feeling like we need to protect, but there's additionally this like very intense, powerful. Oh, what's the right word for it? Depth, I guess. That is also putting pressure on us to to do something. It's very much do where it can feel, even if like in hindsight, like after the 17th is over and you look back and you're like, why did I blow up like that? You're like, that was not a big deal. It's in the moment gonna feel like it. In the moment, whatever this is. And for some of us, it might be way louder and like intense as I am making it seem. And for others of us, it might be subtler. I paint an extreme so we can all get a good
I like
idea of
that.
what we're
Yeah.
dealing with. But it's still intense. And even if it's like you don't have a fight with anyone, you might just not feel very self assured
Yeah.
that day. You might not feel very like comfortable in your skin that day, and that's kind of collective. Like, for many of us, it's likely that many of us are going to be like, I'm just kind of like,
Yep.
see, like, I just want to do some, right? So that's a day to like put a big circle on in the calendar, and if possible to like take it easy, to like really allow there to be space and room for you to feel your emotions. This is the kind of day where you want to go on a run, even if you're not a runner. Like,
Mm.
you want to go kickbox, you want to go like smash paint at a wall, like somewhere, like you want to find an outlet.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, an outlet will be found, it will find itself, whether that's in just like picking fights, having fights picked with you, or like feeling
Easily
very bad
triggered.
about
Yep. Like you said, what would not be a big deal is a big deal. So it's like one of those things where you also don't want to fill your trash can so much with garbage and then you end up blowing up. And, it happens to be, God forbid, your kids. and kids, as you know, like they're going to test the waters. And so really take all of this advice like Laurel is saying, and to watch out for these, especially the key dates and just the overall energy of October, so that you can be prepared. Because that would, that's always like a really sad thing for me when the kids, they're already dealing with so much, the different homes, like the different, energies that's there. We can do the best that we can, at least even one parent having it together, being that stable force, where and the other one is not. That's
Mhm.
all they need, like one
Mhm.
stable, solid parent that they can really rely on. That's what they need. And so we got to do the work ourselves.
100%, 100%. And being aware of like your triggers is so essential in creating even just the smallest buffer for you to remove yourself to go
Mhm.
handle them. Sometimes that's all it takes is you being like, oh, about to pop off here. And then be like, excuse me for a few minutes. And just like go walk it out,
Exactly.
stomp it out. I've done that before where I've been like, oh, I'm about to pop.
Yeah.
And went outside and like stomped. It felt silly, but I stomped in a little circle to like get some of that
Release the energy.
excess out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
100%. So that energy is like pretty loud in in the first week, or that first part of the third week. But then as the week goes on, Mercury in Scorpio is going to make a positive connection to Saturn in Pisces, and on the same day the sun is going to enter Scorpio. So we are full-fledged in the underworld space. We are full-fledged in this deep kind of investigative, probing, transformational, let's attend our shadows kind of space here. And they're also like after the I'm gonna just call it a blow up, even though for many of us it might not end up looking quite like that. But there's something quite volcanic just about the general energy itself there. And so after that, it does seem like something does stabilize, like some kind of like maybe idea. It's like, oh, it makes it all settles into place there. And sometimes that's all it takes is us having like to
Mhm.
be like, ah, I clearly see what the obvious answer for me to like the next step becomes incredibly clear after we have moments like that. Sometimes it looks like that's kind of the span that we're looking at, because this kind of confirmation of like, yeah, you should follow through on this idea that you have or this conversation that you have, is quite supported after there is some kind of more volcanic eruption type of energy. And then with the sun entering the sign of Scorpio, literally that same day, it says, like, okay, and now we really spotlight
Mhm.
the depth. Now we're really focusing on the changes, the evolution of it. So it's like seems like the first again couple weeks of October are just almost like getting us ready for this mid-October part to start to like, okay, stage is set. I understand the assignment. Let's
Mhm.
begin. If that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. It's almost like how I'm seeing it. It's like when, like I said, when you're on the verge of a breakthrough and you're about to level up, it's like leading up. It feels like you're going to, this was how I felt when I was going through, like, the really rock bottom parts of my healing journey after divorce. I felt like my body was literally going to be split apart. Like I could not
Mhm.
handle it anymore. I thought I was going to implode with everything that was going on. And yeah, so I mean, that sounds super intense, but I think it's really in line with what we're talking about.
It's literally exactly the process. And that's the thing, this energy I keep talking about. I know that it's like heavy and a little can be intimidating, but it's also a part of humans psychological development is this process of letting things go and letting things become reborn. Because I know for me, when I've been in my own very personal death and rebirth
Mhm.
cycles, it's not until I'm like, I fucking give up.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm dead. It's over. I can't fight anymore. that the relief of it all finally hits,
Yeah,
and it's like, wow, now it's all out on the table. I have nothing less to cling to. I have nothing left to hide from myself, from somebody else, from whatever the situation, right? And then it's like, that's when the healing, it
that's
really
right.
is that saying, like, once you hit rock bottom, nowhere to go but up.
That's correct.
Like, it's that.
100%. Yeah, and you know what also goes hand in hand with that, Laurel, is the surrender aspect. That's where really everything starts to shift because you're finally letting go. And, us human beings, we just want to control and be certain and know what it is, but life is not like that. So the rock bottom goes hand in hand with surrendering. And you probably relate to this because I don't know how many times, every time I'm leveling up, but obviously I didn't know at the time that, oh, I'm in the cusp of a freaking breakthrough and an upgrade. I just like, dude, I did the best that I can. Whatever happens, happens. And that's when things starts to change.
100%. The surrender piece is a huge piece, because it's like, I don't want to get too like deep astro. You're making me think really fun, like, oh, let's explore that astrologically thoughts. But the surrender and change do go hand in hand. I think that like that transformation there's an awareness component to it. It's like, once you are aware that this is it, that there's nothing left to hide, that's when that surrender happens. It's kind
Mhm.
of like that, okay, you're ready to then level up to become this next phase. And so, like, we're not all about to be in a whole total death rebirth cycle.
Right.
Not everyone is, right? But it's like these are topics we're revisiting. We're not like every single one of us invoking on a brand new, never before seen, oh my God, I'm about to level up and blast off moment in October. It's just that the focuses are on like what is in the process of being evolved
Hmm.
already. And that becomes like, it's almost like we're lifting up rocks and looking underneath them on rocks that have been in our story for a long time. So I'm like, oh, hey, what's going? Oh my God, there's a lot under there, right? Like, that is the part we might like in a month. Many of us might be like, okay, well, that was neat. Next, I can move right along and be like, wow, now I know what's under at least like a couple of the rocks, but that's not what I'm paying attention to. Others of us might stick around with looking under the rocks a little while longer, but
Putting it
the
back down. Oops. Well, you know what? I'm not ready to look at this. And that's okay too, like,
okay.
yeah, that is 100% okay. This is, like Laura was saying, a general overview of what it is. That doesn't mean that it's going to be your specific thing, but it's also amazing to even have the awareness that if you are feeling something remotely like this, it's because it's not just you, it's just happening out there as above, so below.
1,000,000%. And so that brings us to the last week of October, which is very light. There isn't a lot of activity. It really like hovers around the
Good. We
first
need a
bits
break.
of October. Yes, we do. And so the last week of October really is got a little more emphasis on integration and new perspectives. Like I said, it really feels like October's main focus is on that middle part of it. And then it's like, as we start to edge out into towards November, there's a little bit more like compassion, forgiveness, integration. Like I said, integration already, like just like, it seems like there's some clarity. It's like, finally the lid is blown off and now we can release the steam smoothly, like at an even pressure, which I think is going to be helpful. So October 28th looks like a really nice day for just taking action, inspired actions, really inspired actions based on some of what you've come to understand about what must be done if you want to kind of elevate past whatever some of these maybe power dynamics are that are present, that are making themselves quite known at this time. And then we actually have, I was so excited when I was doing the forecast, got to October 31st, and I saw that we had quite a spooky Halloween.
Really?
I
Oh,
was
please
very,
tell us more.
in addition to all the like general spookiness I've just been talking about this for the last 40 minutes, um, on Halloween, Mercury, the planet of communication and thoughts and ideas and how we exchange information with each other, is actually going to be making two positive, harmonious types of connections with outer planets. So what we can like boil this down is that like truly the veil is thin.
Mm.
The veil is at its thinnest this Halloween. Um, our ability to communicate with our intuition is turned up very loud. Our ability to like for some of us maybe very literally receive messages from
Mm.
beyond
Mhm.
is also turned up pretty loud. Those are common trends when these connections happen anyway. It's just kind of fun coincidental it lands on Halloween, but it does seem like there is this ability for us to just intuitively pick up on the information that we need that can help lead us to revelation or lead us to breakthrough. And so for anyone who like actually dabbles in maybe the clairaudient, clairvoyant spaces, this is very potent for receiving messages from yourself, from your source,
Mhm.
from intuition,
I'm a
or just being
clairsentient.
able to channel your imagination and communicate that really effectively in ways that could really provide a lot of perspective for you.
So clairsentients are the feelers, right? That's me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me.
Mhm.
Yes. So amazing. And for like those people who need a hammer to the head with signs, hopefully it won't be like that this Halloween, and you're actually going to get a really you cannot miss this. And God, you know, when we ignore signs, God forbid it turns into like an accident, something that we don't want. And hello,
This
that
doesn't look like that, right? It
this
looks exactly like what you're saying, which is it sounds loud and clear to me.
it's
It
clear.
seems like
Yeah, you
there's
don't need to, it doesn't have to hit you over the head, you know, or like me, I fainted because I was running myself to the ground working and, you know, didn't pick up on the subtle signs like, oh, you know what? I'm tired. I should take a break. Nope, that wasn't enough. My ass, I mean, not my ass, my head had to hit the ground in the cement in
Mhm.
order for me to get it. So, like, certain things like that is what I'm talking about. You know, like it will be these nice, wonderful whispers are going to be louder that you guys can really understand yourself and take to the next level versus something detrimental.
100%. You nailed it. Absolutely. It does. And I haven't looked ahead into November, but it does seem like once we move into the last part of October, we're beginning to integrate and not just like recognize where
Mm.
imbalances are, which I'm already looking forward to that part.
That's exciting. That's so exciting, Laurel.
Mhm.
I'm definitely looking forward to where like November takes us, setting us up for. I'm always excited for. I get, you know, I get that time is a man-made construct, but even then, it excites me for a new year, like, you know,
But
fresh,
seasons
fresh.
aren't, right? Like, but seasons aren't, and the
They're
energy attached to them aren't man made
not.
constructs.
100% agree. Yes. So no, that's why it's such an exciting time. And is there anything else that like last words of advice for this month for our audience?
Biggest words of advice for everybody out there is to be really compassionate with yourself. Be really compassionate with yourself. Be compassionate with others. I know we talked about like all this from kind of like our own perspective, but remember, all of this is affecting everybody at some level
Mhm.
and some maybe more than others. So be compassionate with yourselves, be compassionate with each other, and really just prioritize your self-care. The best thing you can do for yourself when these really deep themes are emerging in our life is provide ourselves with emotional nourishment and support, because no one really like out there in like the real world, right? Real world, finger quotes, sees the labor of emotion, right? No, people don't see the labor of healing from within, right? And so when you are a mom and you have a job and you're trying to co-parent and maybe also have new relationships and friendships and a life, right? The best thing that you can do for yourself is just prioritize that ability to provide yourself with emotional support when you're doing the kind of deep work that other people can't always see on the surface.
Oh, that's such a beautiful parting message for our audience, because you have to be your own best friend, especially at this point in time. And not everyone's going to understand what you're doing, your journey, you're evolving. You might not be showing up the way that you used to. And, that's not okay with some people, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is that it's okay with you and it's okay with your children. Everyone else is
Mhm.
second.
Mhm.
And with that being
Absolutely.
said, I'm going to just leave it at that until the next time. Laurel, thank you so, so much for being with us
Thank
here
you.
again and shedding light on this wonderful opportunity to really level ourselves up in October. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And everyone have a very spoopy Halloween.
Wow, there is a lot going on in Laurel's insights for this month of October. So please be sure to be kind to yourself as you're going through these transitions. And make sure you join us next time for more empowering conversation. And as always, no matter where you're at in your journey, no matter how old you are, it gets better from here. If you're ready to dive deeper and fast track your healing, there are two ways that you can work with me.